Hello there, I'm No02, and I am super duper excited to show you this deck. See, it's the Hoffman Pyro Shredder. Name's not important. This deck has been a little labor of love, a little project that I've been working on tweaking. There was an interaction that I did not think of, that I probably didn't discover, just didn't realize, between Pyro and another card. It's not a very clear and distinct interaction. But this deck that I'm about to show you is going to sort of embody all of the philosophy and understanding that I have on this game. It's going to take into consideration the context, who we're playing with, what act we're playing with. We're also going to go all the way to what character we're playing with. You have to play this deck with Hoffman, otherwise you're going to run into problems. Which is a kind of cool thing that we've gone this far here, and we've taken the deck building thing and made it that complex. We've added other variables into it as far as what we take into consideration when we're building the deck. But what I'm really excited for is what this deck sort of represents to me right now as far as how this Pyro card interacts with another card. This card interaction is not even in this deck, because it's not even good, but it represents the potential of what Back 4 Blood offers. I think Back 4 Blood has a really nice, sort of beautiful foundation for a game that can have so much more content. And they've promised more content. So it makes me very excited for the future as far as new cards and new cleaners and what that all brings to the table. Because this deck, I think, is really going to represent just how diverse and potentially creative any of you could be with deck building. So long as you just have some good principles and foundation and basics as far as how you can build a good deck. So this video is going to break down into 3 parts. I'm going to explain the deck. I'm going to explain how we're going to use it, how we play it, and etc. Then I'm going to talk about this mysterious card interaction that I keep talking about here, and how it sort of blew my mind when I realized it, and how there's lots of opportunities and future opportunities where we can look at cards in a different way when we combine them with other cards, and we can have cards accomplish something that you may not think it does necessarily. It'll make sense. The third part of this video is going to be me comparing Molotovs to pipe bombs and sort of how that plays into the style of gameplay that we're doing. That's another thing too, is that like this deck is encouraging you to play a different style. It's going to make you look at the maps in a different way, look at choke points in a different way. You have to think Molotov. You have to think in a different way, using a grenade that is typically not meta, right? People are running grenades, flashbangs, and pipe bombs. We're going to be leaving the safe room with 4 Molotovs and a dream. So here is the deck, the Hoffman Pyro Shredder. So I just released my meta deck breakdown of the debuffer build, which is just 2 cards, Shredder and Marked for Death. You can go watch that video if you want to hear me explain what this debuff is, how it's multiplicative with other damage types, and how it's so beneficial to a team composition's damage output. But right away, you're going to notice something different about this deck that I usually have. Double Grenade Pouch is card 8. Oh yeah, I need to clarify, this is for Act 1. This is for Act 1. You're not playing with bots or speedrunners, this is Act 1. You're playing with friends, or you're playing with people who know and understand, or you're playing with people who are trying to play the game in a normal way. But we have Double Grenade Pouch all the way at the Barroom Blitz. Way down there. Simply because we need to get Pyro online immediately. We still have our hazard pay, per usual. And this is why we're playing Hoffman. We're cutting a corner. We're pushing back something that I consider to be almost essential for every deck to halfway through the campaign, so that we can get Pyro online. And so we're using Hoffman because he gets the extra grenade slot. That's right, so now we get to carry 2 grenades. We've cut a corner by using a different character. We can reconfigure our deck to look different to compensate for the strength of our characters, or to have the strength of our characters compensate for a weakness of moving a card around, things like that. Cool, super cool. Hazard pay, Pyro. Let's talk about Pyro for a second. We don't really care about the fire damage, though the fire damage is nice when you hit a mutation with it. What we care about is the temporary health. 3 points of temporary health per kill with fire. That includes your Molotovs, the gas cans, and the red barrels. What we really care about is the health. This card can give you so much freaking health, it's insane. It's insane. Now, don't be running around taking damage for free and then just like, alright, well, it's time to heal. Let me just throw a Molotov on the ground. No, ideally, we are killing the Horde with this Molotov. But what this does is that we get way more health resource. So, at any point in time, if we make a mistake, or if we're hurt going into a Horde event, it's not a big deal if we have a Molotov, because we literally just heal. How many zombies are in a Horde when that's triggered? 10? Probably more than 10. 20? 30-ish? 20 to 30-ish? Who knows, right? But definitely more than 10, probably around 20 plus. Doesn't really matter. If we kill 20 zombies with this Molotov, that's 60 points of temporary health. That is a crap ton of temporary health, and we have 2 of them. So with this deck, a well-timed, well-thought-out, well-positioned Molotov will basically heal you up to full in a lot of circumstances, giving you way more longevity in these maps. You can make way more mistakes now with your health, so long as you make a good choice with your Molotov. And that's what this is based off of. Just taking advantage of a huge resource of health, and that's it. And that's literally it. And we're just playing. It's just fun, different play style. That's it. That's all I got, right? But the rest of the deck now we need to consider. Pyro is really, really good at killing zombies. But we just don't necessarily always want to just be throwing a Molotov the second a Horde shows up, right? We don't need to panic. So we're going to be running an SMG. SMGs are really, really nice because of how fast they shoot. They actually have really high DPS, though it's not ammo efficient. And they're also really good at crowd control because they all have good magazine sizes, and they shoot really fast, so it's great for holding off a Horde. So if a Horde shows up, but we don't need to heal, we have a gun that's really good at killing lots of zombies very quickly. So the problem is now, how do we get our SMG to be as ammo efficient as possible when shooting mutations? How do we get the most out of our SMG when we're shooting mutations? That is Shredder, and that is marked for death. That's how we do it. We can sort of just maximize our team value as far as, right, because SMGs do low damage per bullet, so stacking damage cards is not going to be very efficient because, we're turning 10 damage into 11, and then 12, and then 13, and then 14, right? Like, one card of damage is resulting in literally a point or 2 of damage per card. So by the time you have 5 cards all dedicated to damage, you've turned your 10 damage SMG into a 15 damage SMG. Like, it really doesn't matter. It's not a huge difference. Shredder and Marked for Death, though, is going to give us some extra bonus damage when we're shooting. But it's also going to give our team bonus damage when we're shooting, so if we mark a target for death, like a tall boy, and we start shooting it, and our team is shooting it, we're generating way, way, way more damage than we ever possibly could with 5 cards, but we're doing it with 2 cards. And so then we just build around this idea of just reload speed, ammo capacity, extra grenades for the Molotovs, marked for death, reload speed, just going to all around increase our DPS when dealing with mutations, but then just give us more crowd control when dealing with Horde, etc. Right? So let's break down the Hazard Pay Pyro on map 1. We have 2 Molotovs. We have basically 2 Mega Pain Pills, as well as a Remove the Horde item in the Molotov. Run Like Hell on Blood Tunnel. Shredder on Pain Train, just so that we can start getting our SMG up to snuff as well. We're sort of cutting a corner here again. We're not getting cross-trainers like we normally would, maybe. And then we get Superior Cardio going onto the Crossing. These 2 cards combined are sort of like the most bang for your buck efficiency as far as getting movement speed and stamina. Run Like Hell, Cardio. Great 2-card combination if you know how to run and have good movement and things like that. We have the basic foundation of movement so that we can beat the crossing. Then we start building into our SMG. Speed Demon. Here with the movement speed, we sort of compensate now for our lack of cross trainers by having 6% movement speed bonus. Kind of nice. Takes the edge off. But we really want the reload speed, just to maintain our crowd control, keep the bullets flying, keep our teammates healthy, and be able to burst down tall boys in confined spaces if we need to. But we're not quite there yet. Mag carrier, because ammo will become a problem, especially if you have crappy teammates and they keep dying, or you got bots. And if you have bots, ammo won't be a problem, but if you have teammates who keep dying, then ammo can very quickly become a problem for you. So we have Hoffman for an extra 10% and another 30% here. Now we get to the Barroom Blitz, and this is a map that's going to put a lot of strain on your resources, because killing the zombies is not a big problem when you hold out in the correct corner, or have a correct strategy, right? Killing zombies is super easy if you have good positioning. What counters your good positioning, though, is big health mutations. Tall boy walking up on you. You want to stay in your position, because if you leave it, you run the risk of getting swarmed by zombies. But if you stay in your position, the tall boy walks up on you and he kills you, right? So even though in this particular position, in this particular circumstance where we have Molotovs, we're not really set up to kill mutations. So we're going to be a little reliant on our teammates. We can contribute to killing mutations, but we need somebody else shooting in order for us to get the maximum value out of Shredder. So keep that in mind. But when it comes to dealing with the Horde, there's like 6 Molotovs in the bar already, plus the 4 that we bring down. We have a crap ton of temporary health. Crap ton. And tons of Molotovs to keep the jukebox on fire so that zombies don't hit it. Really nice. And so dealing with the Horde with this deck alone, you can pretty much handle the Horde by yourself. Now if you have bots and teammates who are shooting at mutations, you got something good going on here. Now we get marked for death going into special delivery. It's a really nice sort of, not a lot going on this map. Nothing special or particular is really happening on this map. It's a really great map to sort of sneak in another card that's going to complete your build, because you don't need any act-specific card for for special delivery. Marked for death will complete our Shredder vulnerability debuff here. So now if we mark something for death and we start shooting it, that's a 25% vulnerability debuff applied. That's multiplicative with all the other damage types. Helps your teammate a lot. Gets sort of the max value out of 2 cards as far as damage is concerned. Wide with Magwell and reload speed. I just love reload speed. It's super duper fun. This is going to round out our ability to provide crowd control, especially on Bad Seeds here. Bad Seeds, oh no, I'm sorry. 10 is the diner, which again, you're going to be shooting lots of zombies constantly and killing mutations. And so being able to reload speed and mag dump 2 or 3 rounds, 2 or 3 clips into a mutation as quickly as possible will be key to your team's ability to kill mutations swiftly before they get on top of you. Plus we have the Molotov to hold off the Horde. Mutation shows up, you Molotov, and now you can dedicate your gun to shooting the tall boy. And with a good Molotov placement, the tall boy will eventually step into that fire on his pathing to get you. And again, it all begins to work together, because Shredder and Marked for Death will apply to our Molotov damage as well. It applies to that as well. So these 2 cards actually increase our Molotov damage. So now we got the 100% being multiplied with the multiplied with our vulnerability debuff. Reload drills here at Bad Seeds. Again, we're sort of cutting a corner. Bad Seeds is a nice map to run through, run very quickly. It can be very movement intensive. Just because there's no good place to hold out on Bad Seeds until you get to the Broken Bridge, and then into the farm where you have the little tool sheds or the house. The house is not a great place to hold out. So again, we sort of don't have the movement speed, but we're going to compensate for that by just reloading really fast. So we can shoot and change targets and shoot the Horde and shoot a tall boy and reload really quickly and keep the bullets flying and keep the zombies away from us. You don't need to run away if everything's dead before it gets to you, right? And so reload speed is going to help you accomplish that. Improvised explosives. on Hell's Bells. The idea of this now is you're not going to be really boarding up windows. You're going to be throwing strategic Molotovs at open windows to keep the horde off your team's back. Now, God forbid that a mutation enter our holy place here, right? The church. This is going to take the edge off of killing the mutations quite a bit. It's almost going to double the Molotov damage again. Because we have accessory damage and we have fire damage. Those damage types are multiplicative with each other, and both of those are also then multiplicative with the shredder damage and etc. So it actually ends up doing quite a bit of damage to the tall boy. You still need a good 3, 4, 5 seconds to end up killing it and a couple of magazines, but in the tight confined space that is Hell's Bells at the final church, we just need time to kill now. And I think this is sort of just the best way to handle that particular situation. You throw down a Molotov at a window, you kill all the zombies that enter it, tall boy climbs in, he's on fire, you start shredding him. Hopefully you kill him before anyone gets hecked up by the tall boy. It is also going to be really, really nice on Abandoned, because again, in the confined spaces of holding out in the houses, hopefully your team will have enough damage to kill it, potentially with a Molotov, and save a grenade. Or maybe you ran out of grenades. If your team's out of grenades, out of flashbangs, your Molotov is the next best thing to potentially kill any mutation before it gets on top of you while you're holding out at the infested house. I've talked about this in other decks, particularly the Grenadier video for Act 1, but Offensive Scavenger. We care about Molotovs primarily here, but Abandon is a really, really, really nice map to run a Scavenger card on. I think all of the Scavenger cards might be the best card to run on Abandoned. Because if you think about it, we are going to end up looting the gas station, which has a bunch of loot in it. Med spawns, offensive spawns, weapon crates, ammo spawns, and things like, right? You're going to loot the gas station. Then you get to the infested house, and again, you're going to loot it. There's upstairs, there's downstairs, there's loot on those first 2 floors. Meds, meds, throwables, crates, whatever. You're going to loot that house as well. And it's a very nice, tight, confined space that has a lot of loot in it in general. Then you get to the 3rd house at the end of the alleyway. And again, you can stop there, stabilize, hold out the horde, and then push forward. Right? And again, you're going to loot that house. And that house has loot spawns. We have 3 places that have multiple loot spawns in it that you're guaranteed to pretty much loot as you're going through Abandoned. So if we run Offensive Scavenger on that map and we get 1 extra Molotov, 1 extra pipe bomb, 1 extra grenade, whatever it is, that can be huge. Huge. Because Abandoned is a map that puts a lot of strain on your grenade resources. Just because, again, having a good position, like a room with a door that funnels zombies through it, is really, really, really easy to kill the horde just by good positioning. What kills you in that scenario is a mutation that you can't run away from. You're in a room, you're in a hallway. There's no place to go. You're trapped in the house. So maneuverability is not an option for dealing with tall boy. You need to kill it as quickly as possible. And the best things in the game to do that are grenades, flashbangs, and maybe hopefully here Molotovs to take the edge off. So having any amount of extra grenades being produced by this one card can be huge on Abandoned. And then we just have canned goods, because at this point we just need to survive as long as possible to buy as much time as possible for the guy who's doing the field cannon. We'll shoot our gun, we'll throw our Molotovs. Hopefully you're dying. Hopefully you're not dying, but if you do have to die, die with your pain pills used. Die with your Molotov used. Again, we have a crap ton of health here. A crap ton. So even in the worst case scenario, if we need to stand next to the field cannon to take a hit from a tall boy so that the person using the field cannon doesn't get knocked off of it, we do that. And with Pyro and canned goods, you'll have enough health to take at least 1 hit and keep going. That's the whole point. I loved canned goods on Rolling Thunder simply because you can sacrifice your body to buy a couple of seconds, which could mean the difference between getting 1 more shell off or not. So that's it. So that's the deck, and that's sort of how we're playing it. We are looking at Pyro primarily from a healing standpoint. And it's just cool that we have this deck that we use a character that helps us push a card back further into the deck. We try to take advantage of our character's strength. We play and look at the map in a different way. We're looking for choke points. Even if it's not necessarily a good room to hold out in, so long as there's a choke point and zombies following us, we'll get value out of Pyro. So it changes the way that we think about the game, how we play it, and etc. So here's part 2. What am I so excited about as far as Pyro interacting with a card? It's not even in this deck. In fact, it's not a good interaction, or it's not a powerful combo because it sucks. It actually could work in this deck. It actually could. We could actually replace mag carriers with this card. It's Ammo Mule. Ammo Mule and Pyro synergize. Think about it. Do you see it? Do you see it? I didn't see it for a long time. Then I had an epiphany. Ammo Mule disables our support accessories, and you might go, crap, I can't heal myself. I'm dependent on my teammates healing me. That's a burden. They have to carry healing supplies for themselves, as well as for me. I'm sure Ammo Mule can work in a particular deck, but as far as all of the cards go that will remove an entire aspect of your character, like support accessories, 75% ammo capacity is just not worth it. It's just not worth it. But, imagine that we did have Ammo Mule. We didn't have healing accessories. We now have this problem of, crap, how do I keep myself healthy? Pyro. With one Molotov, with one accessory, we can heal anywhere between like 30 to 90 points of health. With good positioning and a well-timed Molotov and some forethought, Pyro can give you way more health than any one healing accessory could. Insane, right? And that's how these cards synergize, is that we could potentially pick a really powerful card that does a really powerful negative thing to us, like disable our support accessory, but we can now compensate for that with a different card like Pyro. This is actually the same interaction that's happening if you were to do a 100% accuracy build, right? 50 plus 30 plus 20, 100% accuracy means your gun's a laser beam, which means you don't need to ADS anymore, which means now that you can get Mag Coupler, disable your ADS, and hit 50% reload speed, right? That's the same thing that's happening here. We're looking at it from a health point of view. We're looking at it with Pyro. You could run Ammo Mule and face your fears. I don't need healing accessories. I'm just going to hack and slash my way to vitality, right? And the reason why this got me so excited is because think about future cards that are going to be released. There might be a future card that says disable your support accessories, but do a super cool thing. And now we can look at cards like Pyro or Face Your Fears to compensate for that disabled item slot. Super, super cool. And I think this really goes to example and show that there is a lot of interesting interactions that you may not have realized yet that exist in the game. And that idea will only get stronger, more robust, more reinforced as time goes on and we get more cards and more creative, interesting combinations can be done. We can have way more weird, wonky looking decks where we have our support items disabled, but we have Pyro and Face Your Fears, or Pyro and some other Pyro and Fire in the Hole, and now every time you throw a Molotov, you have virtually infinite health. Super, super neat. That's what's got me so excited, is that Pyro represents how the game's cards can interact with each other in such an interesting way. And those interesting interactions will only get more interesting, more complex, more exciting as we get more content. The last thing I want to talk about here is Molotovs versus pipe bombs. As we're winding down, right? Relax. Take a deep breath. We're unwinding from all the excitement now. Molotovs versus pipe bombs. This made me realize that I need to make a video about comparing all the throwable accessories with each other. But we just hover over the Molotov here, right? Molotovs and pipe bombs accomplish the same thing. They accomplish the same thing, but they work in totally different ways. When a horde is happening, there is pressure on you to kill that horde. You need to do something to deal with the horde, right? And they're running at you. You take your pipe bomb, you throw it in your proximity, the horde is then aggroed onto the pipe bomb then kills the horde. Not only are you relieved of pressure during the pipe bomb's duration, the zombies are then killed at the end of it. Phew. Relief. Pipe bombs, now Molotovs though, you do the same exact thing. You throw it, and so long as the horde runs into it, that horde is killed. It is not an issue. You can throw it in a doorway, and then look away. You can set it and forget it, right? And it will relieve that pressure. Kill the horde as well. The difference is the circumstances. Pipe bombs, very user-friendly. Pipe bombs are noob-friendly. In any circumstance, no matter where you are, what's happening, maybe there's a teammate who's way off in the way getting swarmed, you throw the pipe bomb in the correct location, pressure is instantly removed. Molotovs accomplish the same thing, but we need good positioning. We need some circumstances to be filled. We need some forethought. We need a choke point, right? We need a choke point, and if you don't have a choke point, you need to throw the Molotov on the ground, and then you need to play around the Molotov, positioning yourself in a way that will make things run into it. Right? So Molotovs accomplish the same thing, but require some circumstances to be met. Pipe bombs are for noobs, Molotovs are for gamers. And Molotovs also then cost half the price. So Molotov is the poor man's pipe bomb. If you really need some sort of crowd control, horde remover, Molotov can be a really good way to go if you can't afford a bunch of pipe bombs. Just something to think about. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Any questions, any thoughts, feel free to leave them in the comments. I love responding to you guys. I appreciate all the love and appreciation and all that things. I appreciate your appreciation. You see how that works? No, I appreciate you. No, you hang up. Thank you guys so much. I was going to say it again. I freaking appreciate it. I'll see you in the future.